this is the key here. And, you know, I should have brought my lovely wife here with me because she is in this large house. She's sitting in another room. But we didn't kind of plan ahead on this. But my lovely wife taught me this concept. Because what my wife taught me was that if I ever tried to manage, direct, and control her, my risk would go up. My stress would go up. My costs would go up. And my performance would go down. See, this is a very complexing issue. This is the same issue we have in project management. You know, I thought I actually had partnered when I got married. So sometimes when people get married, they go low price, right? They actually like go for low price or something. They make a decision. I didn't do this. You know, I actually had this system laid out where I didn't have to think. I didn't have to make decision. I didn't pass a lot of information. And we had this process where I didn't have to think or make decisions. And my wife, you know, after interviewing over 100 girls, the process led to my lovely wife. So we got married. So I'm thinking, we're thinking the same way. We're looking at the same thing. We're not going to have any disagreements. Lo and behold, something immediately popped up where she started teaching me that if I tried to manage, direct, or control her, I mean, it would not go well. Okay, so basically, this took me 15 years to learn. I know you all are watching this and you're looking at this and you're saying, what? This took him 15 years to learn? Well, basically what she taught me was everything in the world is subject to natural laws. Everything. Whether it was in the past, whether it was the present, or whether it's going to be in the future. Natural laws are always there, which means they're discovered, they're not created. It doesn't matter. In the future, I'm always going to have the same number of natural laws. Wow, that seems like such a simple idea, which means natural laws now govern the change of any conditions from one point of time to another. Wow, that's pretty simple. Yeah, if the initial conditions is this, and I release this, the final conditions will be, this will be on the floor. It's the law of gravity. So everything's governed by natural laws. So basically now, the past, the present, and the future, if I had information on someone and I understood the information, I understood the natural laws, I could actually predict how they came from the past to the present. And then I could actually look at the person today, then I could see from the present to the future. Which means I can predict what someone will do before they do it. Which means this is a very simple event. All we have to know is what is the initial conditions, what is the final conditions, what are the natural laws. If we understand this, we are an expert in that area, we can predict what's going to happen from the beginning to the end. This is the simple event that we go through hundreds of times in our lives. Basically going from one set of conditions to another, and the difference is governed by natural laws. Now, how did my wife teach me this? I mean, she couldn't be that smart. And she really wasn't, but she made it very simple for me. So basically, she took this event and she said, look, this is what's going on here. When did we do this more? Was it in the beginning when we first got married? Was it in the beginning when we first started dating? Or was it 30 years later? When did we do more of this? Well, by observation. We did it in the beginning. And why did we do it in the beginning? Because in the beginning, we didn't know any better. We didn't know anything. We didn't even know we knew nothing. So here we go. My wife says, we need to talk about this. She's talking, then I'm listening. Then well, how about this, honey? I think this is the way to do it. She said, no, 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 no. I said, no, 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 no. Well, after 30 years, right, it dawned on me. Well, it actually dawned on me after 15 years. But after 30 years, I definitely understood this. It is when my wife comes to me and says, honey, we need to talk about this. That means she wants to expound on what she sees. And me? She doesn't want to hear what's on my mind. She doesn't want to know what experiences have I had that's actually going to help her out. She wants from me. It took me 15 years to figure that out. I mean, if any of you are young and you haven't gotten married, this is the gem that you're going to learn tonight. Is that I quickly realized when my wife came to me and says, we need to talk about this, honey, what she meant was she wanted to expound about what was on her mind. But she didn't really want me to tell her what's on my mind. So basically, now I know after 30 years, the most successful spouse, and I say spouse now, not husband or wife, the most successful spouse realizes that when your spouse is talking to you, you need to listen. Because whatever you have in your mind is not what she sees or he sees. So just listen. And all of a sudden, stress level goes what? Success rate goes. Cost goes what? In other words, when one spouse is talking, the other spouse should not be thinking, should not be making decisions, should not try to correct their spouse. This is a natural law. And over time, we had 8 kids. So, I mean, this gave us a lot of chance to try things out. But what ended up happening was, as my wife started teaching me, I began to realize that my kids were telling me the same thing. My kids were telling me that I was the problem and didn't even know it. And if I wanted to talk, I should minimize the amount I talked, and I should be asked to speak. And if I spoke, I would have to make it simple so nobody had to think, nobody had to make decisions. Oh my goodness. They told me that my approach of trying to make people think, help them make decisions, change them, influence them based on what I understood in life because of all my experience and expertise, that this was absolutely the wrong way to go. They taught me that I should make it simple, I should minimize this. And they told me that I had no influence and impact on their lives whatsoever. In other words, they taught me something that the professionals have now figured out. They don't really know how to solve this problem yet, but they've figured it out. Right? Because the families were all raised at a different time. Now, if you want to try to figure this out, right, you probably didn't have 8 kids, but if you had multiple kids, think about this in your mind. The oldest kid to the youngest kid, when do you think the parent would realize what's going on? When raising the oldest child or the youngest child? Well, it's the youngest child because we didn't know what was going on here. We made a ton of mistakes, right? Doing this all the time, setting rules, control, trying to influence, trying to shape our kids. Think about this. Which child do you think over time is going to have the most rules in their family? The oldest or the youngest? Which one do you think is going to be more forgiving and more open to everyone and more understanding of other people? The oldest or the youngest? Oh my goodness. And you begin to see that somebody who's older, who's been through a lot of experiences, realizes that when they start having kids and grandkids, and it's like an ecosystem, that basically, if you minimize this, you have now solved the problem of how to help everyone. Identify them for their expertise. Let them do what they see. And this is the solution that came right out of my spouse, my lovely wife, and my family. Wow. Minimize communications. Wow. Amazing. Minimize thinking and decision making. Amazing.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more content. If you have any questions about the best value approach or for Dr. Dean, leave them in the comment section below and we'll get to them in a later video. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.